So today I wanted to talk about the directional modifiers on the NIPS particle node or just your emitter node in general and the NI particle system controller. So we're just going to cover the rotation translation of the emitter node, and then we'll talk about the vertical direction, vertical angle, horizontal direction, horizontal angle of the particle system controller. So the first thing I want to talk about is the particle node itself, which we have chosen as our emitter. Ignore this. This is not actually the emitter. That's just a name that we assigned to that. And this really, it's not really necessary at all. Um, anyways, so when we look at this right here, we can see YPR for Euler, and that's just the yaw, pitch, and roll or rotate. And the rotate is going to be along the center axis of wherever the direction that your node is facing. So here it's straight through the middle of all these particles. So even if we put in 90, it doesn't matter. These directions are in radians, so you can just use Google to translate angles like degrees to radians if you need to. So 90 would be like um, half. 90 would be like half of pi, so it'd be like 1.6 roughly. And anyways, this is the only node here where that actually uses degrees instead of radians, as far as I know. And so what y'all's gonna do is it's gonna kind of like roll it on its side. So we can go 90 degrees, and you see that we rotated it on its side. And if we go 0 here, and we change the pitch, and we put 90 in there as well, we get this angle right here. So yeah, that's the rotation node. If you change them both, it really doesn't change anything. But you could also go 0 and then go 180 here, and now you have it pointing directly down. So we'll just change these back to 0. An easy way to modify these without having to click on everything again is go to transform, go to edit, and they'll all be right here. So you don't have to go back and forth. And if you just go 0, and then this axis rotation, so this is going to be the angle. So we go 45, and then this says in what direction. So if we want to go in the X and Y direction, we'll just go 1 and 1. Should be, I don't know why it's not changing to 1. But it's like a percentage, I guess, in each direction. I guess if we go 0.5, 0.5, it's close to like directly in the middle. And then the z-axis is just going to rotate that angle right back. So if we go 90, I think we can go 1 and 1, but I'm not sure. Go 0 here. And then you just kind of adjust it till it goes in the direction you want it to. So the more you add to 1, it'll go more towards the axis that you want it to. And if you increase 1, it'll go towards the other axis, and vice versa. It's pretty simple to understand there. Just reject this and then change this back to 0. And now we're just in the vertical direction. One other thing you can do is you can change the translation of the emitter node, whatever you're using as like the base for your particle system controller. You can just translate it in any direction you want. So we could go 100 and move it off in the X direction, and then 100 in the Y direction if we want. And now we have this. So we moved it this way, and then we moved it this way. That's pretty simple to understand. And now we can talk about the particle system controller. We have vertical direction and vertical angle. What the vertical direction is going to do is just going to change the rotation of the emitter. So if we go 1.6, we get this weird thing going on. Because we're supposed to just be, it's supposed to shoot it sideways. I don't know why it does this. And the easy fix to that is to just, instead of going like this, we just roll it over here. So we'll go, we'll change the rotation to 90, which is fine. And then we can go back to the particle system controller. And then we don't have to change the vertical angle or the vertical direction. Basically, all this does is kind of says, does it point up, sideways, or down? So if we go like this, now the up direction is along this axis right here, and the sideways is along this axis, and down will be back this way. So if we go 3.14, that'll be down. So 1.6 is sideways. It's the same as radians, essentially saying what angle along this, like this is the angle right here from this axis all the way around to this axis. So this will be 180 degrees or pi radians. And then what we can do is we can go back to 0, and I'll show you what the vertical angle does. So we go, this is also in radians, and so if I go 0.4, we get like this fan spread like this. All the vertical angle does is basically, I thought there was a tool, so you can just go like this. This is the vertical angle, and so whatever angle we'll set it to, it'll fill this area. If we set it bigger, it'll fill this area instead, and it'll emit in these directions. There's like a slight spread and a slight randomness to it, but that's basically what happens. And yeah, so, and if you rotate, instead of going Y90, we turn this to 0 and we go, as you can see, it's doing this angle in the vertical direction, which changes whenever we rotate the particle or the emitter. So the vertical direction is not always in the up direction or the Z direction. So if we go 90, you'll see what happens. Wrong node. So if we go 90 on the pitch, you see that it's sideways instead of, like the fan is sideways instead of along the XY plane. Whereas if we change this and this to 90, the yaw, now it's flat along the XY plane. This is just because we're rotating again the emitter, which really is what decides what the vertical direction is. So at 0, 0, 0, the vertical direction is up. But when we rotate it to 90, the vertical direction is in whatever direction it's facing. So that up direction is just rotated 90 degrees, and now it's along this plane. And then, so we have that. And then we can also go and edit the horizontal direction. Now, the horizontal direction has a kind of different effect because it will only affect the same as the upwards direction, but it will only affect particles that are vertical or in some degree to a horizontal direction to the up angle of the emitter. So if we have 0 and we change the horizontal direction to like 1, it really doesn't do anything. We change the horizontal angle to 1.6, which should be 90 degrees. It doesn't do anything. But now if we change the vertical direction, we go to 1.6, so we lay it flat. Now we'll see that 90-degree angle on both sides of the emitter. And so if we change the vertical direction to, or if we change this down to like 0.2, we can see that the vertical direction is, it's a little bit more streamlined, or the horizontal angle. sorry, I wanted to change this to 0.1. So now we have this small angle, like 10, like 10 degrees roughly. And that's basically all it does. So like how the vertical one splits it into two streams going sideways, this will split it into four. And then the angle will be from the emitter. So like that'll be like you have a nozzle and you open up this angle in the nozzle, and now it can do some, it has a wider spray range essentially. Anyways, hopefully that helped, and I'm gonna do a tutorial on patterning on in my next video. So that should help a little bit if you're having any issues with directions or angles.